Sindiswa there for me? Okay, don't worry, I've got it. I think Sindiswa is struggling to get on. Yeah, there's something weird going on with her. Right, everyone. So this is strategic management. I think at this point you will know what strategic management is. However, we're going to unpack it in greater detail. The reality is that we live in a very, very strange world with insanity being almost a daily occurrence. And because of that, I thought I would start this. Oh my word. There's somebody from group, I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. I'm getting bothered by students who are lost. And oh, sherbet. Unless I'm not in group three, unless I'm not group three, I don't know what groups I have because I'm not on ARC. I don't know why. Okay, guys, my apologies. Let me just sort out the students. Um, do this now. Hold on. Right, let's start. Right, everyone. If we look at the world as it is right now, and yeah, for me, the insanity that is the world, what would be an appropriate theme song for 2026? What would be an appropriate theme song for 2026? We had to create some sort of theme song to reflect what is happening in the world. What would that be like? What would it be? Come on, guys, don't let me call you out. I'm just going to no. No, I'm going to call out Hannah for irritating me. Hannah, what would the theme song be? What would
Honestly,
the
I can't think of a theme song for 2026 to be honest.
so now you're irritating me the second or the third time
Oh no.
already.
Oh no.
Oh no, you minus 50% at this point. Don't worry. At some point, I start sounding like Oprah and I give this person 50 and that person
Oh
50%. So don't
gosh.
worry. So you better hope that happens.
I hope so.
Any theme songs, guys? I've had a couple of suggestions from students. One of them was, I'm getting bothered by students on WhatsApp. One of them was Another One Bites the Dust. I thought that was pretty clever. My favorite that I've been given thus far is American Idiot. Why would be American Idiot be an appropriate theme song for 26 and beyond? Why American Idiot? What makes that an appropriate theme song for 2026 and beyond? I think everything that's happening in the world around how dangerous the world has become is a consequence of one particular individual, and that is Donald Trump. So I'm going to upfront tell you guys I'm not a fan of the human being. And if you are, then obviously that's fine. But I cannot stand that individual. And the reality is, he is causing trouble the entire world over. He particularly hates South Africa. I mean, hit us with sorry about that, insane tariffs, and continues to treat South Africa as this villain of the play. And seriously, we keep bowing down to this individual. He treats his European allies as individuals that owe America everything. And I think it's obnoxious, it's disdainful, and it's all about distracting from the Epstein files. And I think that's where we're at. So when we look at 26 going forward, I think the one thing that we always have to do is start looking at the mega trends that have been predicted for this year. So the first one is this idea of America and its 205th anniversary. And the focus in terms of that, and I'm just sharing this document with you, is that America still has a significantly powerful hold over the world. I think the reality is that a lot of people default to America in order to see what will happen and when we must act and how we must act. The tariff war is not over. I think we have to understand that the tariff war is nowhere near ending. And I also think we need to understand that new tariffs will be introduced this coming year, including tariffs from South Africa, where there is a firm belief that the Chinese brand vehicles would be tariffed this year. And we're talking about a 50% tariff because our existing traditional brands cannot survive against the Chinese brands. The second one is the geopolitical drift. And it's very difficult to know where it is now because traditionally it used to be East against West. But we've seen how China has started doing business with traditional trading partners of America. And maybe South Africa wasn't that insane to align ourselves with BRICS. We see that Canada is now seeing China as a preferred trading partner, despite the fact that in the past, America was its biggest trading partner and about 90% of its trade was with America. But America keeps telling everyone that Canada is going to be their 51st state. Greenland issue has not been addressed yet, and I think there is a real concern that if America takes over Greenland by force, the way they did in terms of getting rid of Maduro, I think there's a real issue that Venezuela will be repeated in Greenland or maybe repeated. And then it gives Russia almost a license to continue in the Ukraine, gives Russia the license to start looking at other European nations. It also gives China a license to take over Taiwan. Although I don't think they'll take over Taiwan, I think what will happen is they might encircle Taiwan completely and essentially just reduce any chance of anything coming in and going out and strangling Taiwan in the process. So that is one thing to watch for. I think in terms of war or peace, there is a firm belief that World War III would happen before 2035. There is also a belief that this war would be nuclear based. Now, the reality of a nuclear based war is that you destroy vast parts of infrastructure, and also you kill vast numbers of people. And the belief is that World War III will happen prior to 2035. Now, I think we have to understand that, in my opinion, the world is held hostage by five people: Donald Trump, Kim Jong-un from North Korea, Xi from China, Vladimir Putin, obviously Russia, and then I put Benjamin Netanyahu in there because these are individuals that seem to be able to get away with real murder and nothing ever happens to them. And it's these individuals that will cause war in the future. We also see that the idea that there are problems in Europe, and it has to do with economic issues, where if you're part of the European Union, people have to bail each other out in order to almost promote the idea that if everyone succeeds, the European Union succeeds. But a lot of those countries economically aren't performing, and the tariffs become a bigger issue for those non-performing nations. And I think we will see a significant growth in the Chinese economy. I think what China has done is they have decided to go it alone. They will become self-sufficient. They will have their own supply chain, and their notion of and they refer to it as cost innovation, because they can build really cheaply and do it at a really good quality. And then economic worries. I think we already have economic worries in South Africa. I don't know if anyone here agrees that life in South Africa has got very expensive, has become very expensive. Or is it just me? Food prices are off the scale expensive. And then tax margins that we spend so much on tax. And within that, we have to survive. And then artificial intelligence, I think there will be at some point more money invested into AI. We're already seeing job losses to artificial intelligence. But to me, that's not always a bad thing, because new jobs will be created. If you look at jobs that didn't exist 10 years ago, cheating a bit. Hold on a second. Come on. Jobs that didn't exist 10 years ago. So there are a couple of these. And as new jobs have been created in the past 10 years, so new jobs will be created going forward, and underpinned perhaps by AI. So for me, please embrace artificial intelligence. I think we need to understand that it is not there to replace you, it is there to improve you, it is there to make you more efficient. If you look at the processing power of artificial intelligence and the number of data points that artificial intelligence can consider, it has to make the human race more efficient, more effective. And the simple truth is, this is an area where there will be a lot of jobs created going forward. Sustainability has become a watchword going forward. Can I just see who here is proficient at using artificial intelligence at work? Who is using artificial intelligence proficiently at work? Who thinks ChatGPT is artificial intelligence? Who thinks that they don't know what the question? Someone answer a question. Goodness gracious me. Who is pretty proficient at AI? Can I just see, has anyone got the paid version of ChatGPT? The paid version of ChatGPT? Okay. Keisha is busy typing at the bottom there. Okay. And then, yeah, go for it, Hannah.
No, I definitely don't think I'm very good with the AI. I think I've still got a lot to learn, but definitely last year specifically, I learned with some of my lecturers how to use it, especially in term one with qualitative research. Our lecturer was very good with AI, so he did teach us a few things with it. I
Is
can't
that
remember
Paula?
his. I don't think that was his name.
Is
No,
it
I
him?
can't.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
I
No,
can't really
that's fine.
remember his name.
Yeah.
But he was quite excellent with it. So we learned quite a bit about it. And that there's not only ChatGPT to use, there's a lot more AI, artificial intelligence to use out there. Yeah, so as I said, I'm not very great with it, but I do think there's a great way, like a lot to learn and a lot to do when it comes to using AI. for
Oh,
boss to
that's wonderful.
use.
Yeah, and it's to embrace, but it's also to also remember, guys, there are lots of industry-specific artificial intelligence. So within the medical industry, for example, you would have AIs that are able to early detect a variety of diseases so that prevention can start earlier, in particular in cancer. So what will happen for a medical practitioner in the future is that the detection would be done by artificial intelligence, and the management and those kinds of things is where the practitioner will come in, because generally what happens with doctors is they come in when you already have the disease. So here we're looking at prevention and early detection, and AIs are scary in doing that. You also have AIs in the telecommunications industry. There are so many industries where we see AI operates, and I'm pretty good because I have a son who works in artificial intelligence. He writes art. Well, he used to write artificial intelligences. He now oversees several teams in a global organization, and he's shown me how to use ChatGPT and how to prompt ChatGPT, and those are important skills going forward. Anyone use AI at work at this point? AI being used at work? Okay. I would bet in 2 years' time, when I do this lecture, 90% of the people on the call will be using AI as almost as naturally as using a calculator is, because that's where the future is, and you have to stay relevant. Guys, and then a mixed climate picture. The reality is that we have to go green. The reality is that climate change is real. It is not a hoax. The reality is that we are reaching this cusp and this point of no return. Unless we start doing things dramatically and stop using carbons, we're going to sit in a situation that Mother Earth is going to not be able to sustain us. Yeah, and then I don't know. I see that 2,000 people in America are suing the makers of Ozempic for going blind. Um, I think Ozempic is seen as the miracle cure for people that are overweight. This GLP now is available in South Africa. It's not the kind of thing. Not that I'm not that I'm overweight, but it's not the kind of thing that I would do. Anyone have been here on Ozempic? Because I have a couple of colleagues who were on Ozempic and have lost weight significantly. Or anyone know anyone on Ozempic? Is it the miracle cure that everyone says it is? Yeah, I think if you're on Discovery in particular, your weight is important. And I think people will try and facilitate weight loss using Ozempic and obviously this GLP. Not my kind of thing. Okay, let's get to our slides. More organized lecturers would have actually had the slides open. I had great plans to have them open. Oh, what am I doing? I used them earlier. Right. Give me a second. I'll open the slides now. Apologies for this. Did everyone get the slides at this point? Has everyone got the slides? Okay, fantastic, Hannah. Plus 25% for answering, Hannah. It's on the group where, have you joined the WhatsApp group? It is on the WhatsApp group. Remember, until I get onto, oh my word, you're one of the irritations making me having to reshare the slides. Minus 25%, Mikhail, minus 25% for annoying me. Okay, guys, let's have a glance at, I'll keep sharing the slides. Other people, I'm evil, boy. Trust me, I'm evil. Just remember all of this when you evaluate me. You can nail the living daylights out of me. So please help me share, guys. I can't be the only one keeping sharing over and over. I lecture full days as well. Right, guys, let's have a glance at the first learning unit and the objectives that we should be paying attention to. The first one is, what is strategy? I think we know that strategy is that thing that we use to keep ourselves aligned with the external environment. And if we look at the insanity that is the environment, these strategies become vitally important. I mean, the reality is that we have to do business within the context of an insane world. You have to make money within the context of an insane world. You have to have a private life within the context of an insane world. So, for a business, it is essential that these strategies work, that we spend a lot of time on these strategies. Goodness, minus 25%. They're on the WhatsApp group. You should have joined the WhatsApp group already. Right. So the first one, what is strategy? And we'll unpack what strategy is. Join the WhatsApp group and we'll share it on there because you've joined late, obviously. And then, guys, understanding strategic management. So we'll go through the process of discussing what strategic management and the variety of perspectives are. And then we'll look how this works within the real world. Oh, goodness. Please note the following. You are irritating, minus another 25%. Oh my word, now everyone is joining. Now that it's too late. Hold on a second. Let me share the slides quickly. Oh gosh, I've got an illegal copy of the textbook as well. I shouldn't say that because I'm being recorded. So if you haven't bought the textbook, don't buy the textbook. My slides are absolutely fantastic. And I'll also share an illegal copy of the textbook with you. I should have done this earlier. Who hasn't bought the textbook yet? Who hasn't bought the textbook yet? Okay, I'll make sure that I load that textbook. Okay, I'll remind me at the end of the lecture, I'll load the textbook. Right. There are a couple of things here. Okay, please don't buy the book, guys. Whenever you see my name in a course, you don't buy the book. And also, my slides are so comprehensive that you can actually survive with the slides alone. Hold on a second. I'm going to share the book now. Okay, to also just say, guys, next week we discuss the assignment. So be in class because we're going to look at the assignment. I haven't seen the assignment on the portal yet, so hopefully by next week it will be out. 7321. Hold on. It'll be 2 seconds. 6. Okay. Guys, I'm not allowed to give you this, obviously. But I'm such a rebel, hey. My genigtig. Okay. It's there. You can see, I don't know which edition it is, but the edition is fine. Okay. Right, guys, let's look at what thinking strategically is really about. The first thing when we look at thinking strategically, we ask the question, where are we now? So here we look at the situation that the organization finds itself in. Now, some organizations are in a wonderful situation where they have significant strengths, where they face significant opportunities. They have wonderful resources. They have an amazing competitive advantage. They have a fantastic brand name. They have significantly qualified employees. They have wonderful plant machinery and equipment. So we look at the organization, but it's fantastic to have those amazing things. But also you need to be able to use those things to turn them into products and services that impress your customers. And then obviously it is also important nowadays to make sure that you are green, that you've moved beyond using old electricity bulbs, not that those are there, that you start becoming self-sufficient, that you put solar panels on, and that you make your carbon footprint almost net zero, so that you don't have a carbon footprint, but you certainly need to reduce it as well. And then you can also look at the current performance. Those of you that remember from second year, we normally measure current performance in profitability, or we talk about financial measures, we talk about customer measures, we talk about internal business process measures, and we talk about learning and growth measures. What do we call those measures collectively? What do we call those measures collectively? I don't know if you guys have seen this. The balanced scorecard. Have you guys heard of this balanced scorecard previously? The balanced scorecard. Okay, it's something to put into your brain. It's something to put into your brain, guys. It's something that will carry throughout. Okay, right. And then just also, where do we want to go? What is the overarching thing that an organization generally works towards? What is that overarching objective? And please don't say profitability, that an organization generally works towards. What is that overarching thing? No one answers my questions. I feel so lonely here. I don't even know if you guys are listening. Just give me a thumbs up to say, oh, Henny, we are listening. Stop being paranoid. Remember the overarching thing. Thanks, Dallin. That's 25% extra, Dallin. The overarching thing. Thanks so much. 25% for those guys. Wonderful. The overarching thing is always going to be your vision. And you'll remember from second year and first year, that vision translates into your mission statement. The vision is always going to be that ambitious or that dream future an organization sees for itself. We'll talk about those are sub measures, Sindiswa. The overall vision, the overall objective is always going to be your vision. From there, we have our mission statement, and you'll remember our mission statement translates into long-term objectives. And this is where the measures that Sindiswa mentioned will appear. Sorry, guys, I'm writing with the mouse, but I take my art very seriously. So if you laugh at my art, another 25% missing. Oh, dear Lord, this looks terrible. But so we go from there to our long-term objectives. Those long-term objectives are important because they become the endpoints of our strategies. They become the endpoints of our strategies. Oh my goodness. Another way to look at it is this way, where you're unable to see anything. Who else can't see, guys? Oh, for Pete's sake. Oh, your lecturer is a brainless idiot. Why don't he tell me now that you can't see anything? Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't share my screen. And I had all this wonderful stuff. Oh, my flippin' hell. I'm going to have to redo this bloody lecture. So, because this is going to look absolutely awful on on YouTube. Oh, my word. Oh, I'm such an idiot. So, well, you can follow your slides in Deswa. Guys, remember all of this when you evaluate me and just say, my lecturer is a bonehead. Okay, so the other way to look at it is this way, guys. If this is the organization here, and this is the insanity that is the external environment, the thing that allows us to keep in step and align ourselves with that external environment is our strategic plan, and our strategies form part of that. So your strategies allow you to align yourself with the external environment. It allows you to keep in step with the external environment. The important bit here is that we talk about strategic fit and strategic flexibility. Strategic fit means that the organization at a particular point in time is perfectly aligned with the external environment. Strategic flexibility is where you maintain strategic fit over time. Oh my goodness, guys, I'm so sorry. Right, the next one here is to look at how will we get there. The how will we get there will be our strategies. Our strategies are game plans. Our strategies indicate to us how we're going to allocate resources, how we're going to appoint staff, how we are going to put money into these strategies to make them work. And it's important because those strategies essentially will take you to your vision ultimately. The important bit is that, and I just want to do this again. The important bit is that those long-term objectives act as the endpoints for your strategies. And vision and mission, remember, we cascade from our vision and mission to our long-term objectives. Those long-term objectives indicate the roads that we will travel to ultimately take us to our overarching goal, which is the vision. So those long-term objectives will be the road. The thing that we use to get there, the vehicle that we use to get there, is your structure. So those long-term objectives not only give an indication of what the structure should be like, it would also give an indication of how we allocate resources within that structure. So if your vision is to win the Formula One World Championship, the road that you travel will be all the tracks that you race on during the year, and the structure will be a flat vehicle that travels 300 kilometers an hour. Who are the Formula One followers here? No one watch Formula One. We're 19 days away from the next championship, guys. 9 days away. I miss it. How will we get there? The roads that we travel. And how we are doing is the auditing that we do to see that we're on track. And remember, we break that overall set of long-term objectives into bite-sized chunks because the long-term objectives are broken ultimately into sets of annual objectives. Those annual objectives are broken down into sets of operational objectives. And those there become building blocks of ultimately taking you to the vision. Those become your stepping stones towards your long-term objectives. And we can check whether we're on track, because if you're achieving all your operational objectives, you should be achieving all your annual objectives. If you achieve all your annual objectives, you should be achieving all your long-term objectives, and so forth. So we break it down into bite-sized chunks, and the bite-sized chunks are those annual and operational objectives. Right. So you'll see this term a couple of times in first semester, the idea of the VUCA environment. And the VUCA environment is a very accurate description of what we face right now. We talk about volatility. The change in the environment is so rapid, and it's often driven by technology. And in particular, I seriously doubt that, Mikhail. Ferrari is a tractor, man. Sorry, I'm just responding to Mikhail's misguided belief that there will be an eighth for Hamilton. Volatility is how quickly the environment changes. And I promise you, with artificial intelligence and the technologies behind artificial intelligence, the environment will continue to change even more rapidly. The second one is uncertainty. It is very difficult to predict what is going to happen in 2026. The only thing that we can predict is that we can't predict. I think we don't know where 26 will take us. We already see some insanity this year. I mean, America invading another country, which is to take their president and steal their oil. It is insane to imagine what this year holds for us. It is so, so difficult to predict. It is also complex in the sense that, and I need my art again. Where's my paint? It is also complex in the sense that A change in one element has a knock-on effect across all the elements. What is that called? Where one element, and it's the idea of a butterfly flapping its wings in a forest and causing a hurricane or an earthquake in another part of the world. What is that called? Anyone come across that before? It's well worth having a glance at this, guys. Uh, oh yeah, spot on, Sindiswa. It's the butterfly effect. Well done, bud. Come on. Yeah, there was a movie on that, but here is the butterfly effect. Has anyone come across the term other than Sindiswa, butterfly effect? Ripple effect is another good way of describing it, actually, goodness. Yeah, so you can see here, it's based around chaos theory, it's rooted in chaos theory, and it is this significant action having this significant, well done, Sindiswa, domino effect. And I mean, some of the most insane ones that we've seen, and I apologize for this being dated, and I'm pretty sure all of you would have still been at school at this point, but it's one that I use because it shows how a single effect can have a significant impact across the world. In 2010, I'm trying to do this properly. Uh, Yeah, and a volcano exploded in Iceland somewhere. I can't tell you what the name of the volcano is because it doesn't have a single vowel in it. So a volcano exploded in 2000 in somewhere in Iceland. That volcano spewed out ash. The ash settled over Europe. So the ash settled over Europe. The ash made it impossible for aeroplanes to take off in the UK. Sorry, guys, it's difficult to draw with the mouse, and I can't draw for bugger all anyway. And because aeroplanes couldn't take off in Europe, fruit and oh my gosh, I'm trying to draw. I'm trying to draw Table Mountain there. Fruit and flower packers in Cape Town were retrenched. Now, imagine you dealing with a fruit and flower packer. These are generally unsophisticated individuals. And you say to them, the reason you're losing your job is because a mountain exploded somewhere in Iceland, something that is 10,000, thousands and thousands of miles away. But it's an indication how complex the system is. The knock-on effect is so significant. And one of the issues is we can't always predict that knock-on effect. And then, guys, to also just say it is ambiguous. It is very difficult to discern the connects in the environment. Sometimes those connects are so subtle, they are so unclear that we cannot actually say that if there's an interest rate increase in America, what the rest of the world will do. So we can see here a strategy is a game plan. The game plan is there to keep us aligned with the organization, the keep the organization aligned with the external environment. To do that, there's several things that we can use as measures to see whether we are aligned, whether we're keeping track of the external environment, whether we're keeping in step with the external environment. It's that idea of strategic flexibility. We will look at whether we meet and attract customers, meet their needs. We also look at whether we are in a WWE match, the person that stays in the ring and throwing out our competitors one by one. It is about creating value for customers. How do we measure value for customers? How do we measure value for customers? What do customers want? What do you want from products you buy, from services that you use? What do you want from an organization? Satisfaction, quality. Value for money. I think value for money has become very important. And that's why Checkers has become so, so powerful. And I'm sorry to say this. That's why these Chinese vehicles sell by the hundreds every month. Anyone here drive a Chinese vehicle? Anyone drive a Chinese vehicle? Yeah, maximum quality, maximum. A Toyota is not a Chinese vehicle, but yeah, no, well done, Sindiswa. A Japanese vehicle. Anyone have a jet tour or one of those? Can't believe that none of my students drive Chinese vehicles because there's so many on the road. I don't drive a Chinese vehicle, for the record. Okay, guys, and then dynamic capabilities. The term dynamic capabilities means that you are constantly reinventing yourself. So the way it works is that resources are things you own. It's about money, it's about plant machinery and equipment, it is about your employees. Capabilities allow you to get the maximum out of your resources. Capabilities allow you to get the maximum out of your resources. Dynamic capabilities is the ability to reinvent yourself. So organizations have to reinvent themselves in order to stay relevant. And we've seen how Checkers has reinvented itself. I'm talking about Checkers because some of you might be doing XBCM or will at this point in Checkers. ShopRite Holdings is the organization that is at the center of your research there. Don't worry about it, Sindiswa. I think Toyota would jump into a volcano if they found out that that they're a Chinese brand. Give me examples of movie stars that have significant dynamic capabilities, that have reinvented themselves, that have been around forever, but still keep going. Movie stars with a lot of dynamic capability. Oh, absolutely, Mikhail. Tom Cruise is my age, actually. He's 62 years old and he keeps going. I mean, he keeps going. He looks 25, well, 40 at least. Okay. Who else, guys? There are a couple of those guys. I mean, the same thing if you want to look at musicians that have been around for a long time, that keep reinventing themselves. Denzel, absolutely, 100%. 100% has reinvented himself. I mean, I always think of Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp is my age as well. And I mean, he's been around for a long time. Brad Pitt is also my age, and they've been around for a long time. I don't look as good as they do, unfortunately, guys. I don't look as good as they do. Okay. And then, guys, it is about making sure that we grow all the time because we cannot stand still. And then just managing your architecture. Your architecture is everything from your systems, your procedures, your organizational culture, your organizational structure. What is interesting is that our very last lecture in BMNG 7322, the very last learning unit, will discuss this in detail. So it almost will become full circle when you finish 7222 at the end of the year. Guys, and then just also to say this idea of achieving performance targets, because that's how we know that our plans are unfolding and that we are being successful. Right. So when we look at the strategic decision characteristics. Just to say, guys, they love asking this in the exam, but we'll do proper exam prediction when we get there. So the first one is long term. Now, the truth is that the textbook is still very traditional in its approach to strategic management, but it does clarify that there are lots of criticisms with the traditional approach in a bit. I think long term, what do you consider to be long term? What is long term? Back in the day when I used to facilitate strategic plans for organizations, long term used to be 5 years. So we used to do vision and mission statement and long term objectives 5 years into the future. What is long term now with a world that changes so rapidly as it is? No, I couldn't see that anymore. Maybe in the 1980s, Sindiswa, maybe in the 1980s. 10 years. I think if you get to 3 years, that's where I'm with long term. 3 years or less, Mikhail, not plus 3 years. You cannot make predictions. Things change so rapidly that long term now is 3 years. And it's disconcerting. And Sindiswa, even if you work for government, it's impossible to plan 10 years into the future. 3 to 5 years, yeah, for me, the moment you stretch beyond 3 years, it becomes impossible to predict. The second one is everything we do is directed at our vision statement. Who here has a job? Who's working at the moment? Who works at the moment? Who has a job? Come on. No one have a job that's on here. Goodness, you have a job. Hannah, you've got a job. Goodness and Hannah. Mikhail also has a job. Okay, and is it Jean? Hey, am I mispronouncing that? It's Jean. Hey, I'm an idiot. Sorry,
It's
Jean. Just how does it pronounce it?
Jane.
Janae.
Yes.
Omdat dit verster is en jou ma het vir jou 'n Engelse naam gegee.
Ja.
Minus 25%, Janae. Minus 25%. Janae. O, genigtig, ek gaan dit nie reg kry nie, Janae. Sê vir jou parents, sê vir jou ouers, dit is onaanvaarbaar hierdie. And Marguerite, hoe pronounce jy Marguerite?
It's just Marguerite.
No, it's not. Say the Afrikaans version.
Marguerite.
Unacceptable. Unacceptable. Those of you that have jobs, what is the vision of your organization? Because it says everything has to be directed towards the vision. And in order to direct everything, it includes human behavior. So, what is the vision of your organization? Hannah knows, which is impressive. Is it a family business? So, you guys haven't done a strategic plan, Sindiswa? Oh, are you volunteering? Okay. No, there's nothing wrong with that, but there's nothing wrong with that. Hey. Okay, people are typing, and those that aren't typing are searching on the internet like crazy right now so they can cheat. Okay, we'll see what those are in a second. Guys, and then obviously it is about aligning the organization internally with the insanity of what is external. And then requires major resources. Remember, these are the things that are taking you, these strategies take you to your vision statement. And that requires a hell of a lot of, oh my word, nice man. That is very cool, Hannah. That is so, so, so cool. That is very nice, actually. Well done. Hey, well done. Guys, and then just, okay, you do, Cindy Swab, but you don't know the vision. Guys, and then just also lastly, it is always going to be about wealth creation for stakeholders. You need to remember this little statement. The modern way of measuring strategic, competitive, sustainable advantage is wealth creation for stakeholders, and not shareholders, stakeholders. In the past, it was about being the most profitable organization in an industry. Now it is about creating wealth for your stakeholders. And that means everyone, from your shareholders to your employees, to your customers, etc., etc. Wealth creation for stakeholders. Okay. Right. So in terms of strategy post, 2010, I think the reality is, up to 1999, I can't even understand how the centuries work. Back then, everything was predictable. So we would get together, and that's when I used to facilitate strategic plans. We would get together, with senior managers, we would write a vision, we would write a mission statement, and then we would do a SWOT analysis, remember, opportunities and threats. And then once we've got our opportunities and threats, we would set our long-term objectives and we would create strategies. It was possible to follow this, a very traditional process, because things were a lot more predictable. Things were a lot more predictable. When we look at the 21st century and the insanity that is the 21st century, I think we have to understand that technology is the biggest driver of change. So technology will drive change into the future. And remember, AI is the latest of those technologies that have driven change. And I think that AI will accelerate change significantly. And I think to think of where we are in the world now and how to look at strategy, we have to consider complexity theory. And complexity theory suggests that there are complex interacting systems, and it is very difficult to see the connects and make predictions about changes in terms of the external environment. It's non-linear. You know, in the olden days, we knew that, let me just do this. You could almost be predictable like a sound wave. Now you have changes, and then you might have a period where it's settled, and then you might have more changes. I mean, it is so difficult to predict what happens next. Nothing happens in a linear fashion. Everything happens rapidly, and it's again chaos theory again all over. And then what we do is we do scenario planning. And scenario planning is where we look at certain trigger points. So if we had to do a scenario in 2024, we would have had, if Trump wins the election, if Trump doesn't win the election. If Trump doesn't win the election, we would have a high road scenario because South Africa and its businesses would be fine. If Trump wins this election, we'd have a low road scenario because we know that it's going to be volatile and very difficult for South African organizations to do business in America, which is a very significant trading partner of ours. Guys, and these geopolitical forces, I think that to me is where the biggest concern is. We know that we've aligned ourselves with BRICS, and the up till, I suppose, last year, we would have said that there is sort of in this Eastern Bloc and a Western Bloc. The Western Bloc would be Canada and America and Australia and New Zealand and the UK and Europe. But with Trump in position, we don't know what the new connects are between countries. We don't know who to do business with because it's all up in the air. And I think we have to understand that that America will suffer under that individual. And then just to say, guys, there is this significant expectation of sustainability. It is this need to go green. It is this need to become carbon neutral, and if possible, become carbon negative, where you take carbons out of the environment. A simple way to do it is to plant speckwormer, for example. Speckworm are phenomenal in terms of taking carbons out of the environment. Guys, I'm not going to start the next slide because I know that I'm going to rush and it's going to be messy. Thank you so much for this evening. Thank you so much for attending. Please let me know if this approach is okay or whether I need to change the approach. I see people leaving.